Welcome back to Misery Point Radio. Thanks for hanging out with me again today. Definitely appreciate it. I, of course, am your host. My name is Mike. And today's episode is a carryover from the last episode of On the Edge that will feature musical talent. As now, Misery Point is going to be the point of contact for all things entertainment. And let's be honest, today's guest, Chris Adkins, well, he's worthy of being on two shows. So, I am excited to finally get this episode published on this show. It's been hanging out in limbo for a while I kind of worked out some finer details with scheduling and all that mumbo-jumbo that really isn't that important in the grand scheme of the cosmos. So, if you've already heard this episode, well, listen to it again. And if not, you are in for a pile of absolutely epic musical awesomeness that is just, simply put, unrivaled. So, hang out. Check out the show. Listen to Chris talk about his awesome adventures in studio land, his awesome adventures in live performance land, his awesome adventures hanging out with my co-host, Bradly the Wizard Miranda. Need I say more? I don't think so. All right, so please welcome to the show from Phasers on Kill, MxPx, and the Royal Pain, Chris Adkins. Chris, thanks for joining me here, dude.
Hey, yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Awesome. And, of course, the wizard, Bradly Miranda, is joining us as the co-host today as well.
I am glad to be back, if your listeners still remember me.
My one listener definitely remembers you.
Oh, thank you.
Super amazing.
Thank you, one follower that you have.
Yeah. Woohoo! Hey, so we were talking about this a little bit before the show, but you just got some new ink today, and
Got some ink.
I'm a huge fan of tattoos. So tell us what you got today.
Well, it was a little bit of a curveball because I'd been talking to my tattoo artist about this other idea, and we kind of laid it out on the spot on my arm where we wanted it. It just didn't work. And so I was like, oh, I don't know. He's like, do you have any other ideas? I'm like, well, we got some areas that we just need to fill in with little things. I said, let's just throw a paper airplane on my arm.
And you got a paper airplane on your
I got
arm.
a paper airplane up by my elbow, kind of filling in this spot. And it's like the college ruled paper. It's got the holes in it and the red line and the blue lines. And you'll remember it from grade school.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I never made it through grade school.
Oh, good to know, Mike.
Had I gone through grade school, I'm trying to picture it in my head. I know yellow paper. That's what I know.
There you go.
Even my notes, yellow paper digitally. It's crazy.
Oh, I see.
Notepad, yeah.
So, 3 bands, dude. That's crazy.
3 bands, kind of. At the moment, Phasers isn't. We haven't played a show since New Year's Eve, like last year.
Okay.
Guys working on other stuff. Our bassist, he runs a bar in Tacoma. So he's been busy with that. My brother, who's in the band, he's got another band that's been going. So MxPx was going for me. It's just everything got really busy. And so we just pumped the brakes a little bit, but it wasn't a thing to where like, we don't think we could just pick it up and go when the time is right, you know?
So Phasers on Kill has been kind of like your longest running project that you've had currently going. So you guys got started, 2009-ish?
Yeah.
Recorded an EP in around 2012. Somewhere in there, and that was you, Brad, wasn't it?
That's how we met,
Yeah.
actually, and I was actually thrown into that session, so I had no idea who they were. Greg hooked it up,
Okay.
and he started tracking drums with who was your drummer at the time?
Ryan.
Yeah, and then I stepped in and kind of took over that project.
Yeah,
and then
that was cool.
We just started doing projects together.
Okay, and then 5 or 6 years later, you did another, like a 3-song kind of a thing?
3-song 7-inch, yeah. We really wanted to do a 7-inch record. Just I mean,
Vinyl's back.
it is. And that was kind of the reason for us wanting to do that. You know, we had some songs ready to go and we just didn't want to wait. And we're like, let's just do a little vinyl, you know? So did those 3 songs. That was, we called that one 16 Stairs. And we partnered with Snatchy Records. It's a little label out in Wenatchee.
Snatchy Wenatchee.
Yeah. So they helped us out with that and helped us press those. I think we did like a run of 500 or something. And
so how did that do? I mean, was the reception to the vinyl good?
Yeah, really good. And in fact, I think we split the pressing to where the band got 250 and the guys in Wenatchee kept the other 250. I'd say maybe I have like 10 of them left at my house. So I don't know if 240 vinyls is clocking any charts anywhere, but for us, we were pretty excited about it and people really liked it. It was a cool color. It was like orange marble.
Right.
Yeah, it turned out cool.
And I think about it, you know, I'm a big bookstore nerd. Love to go to used bookstores.
Same.
And like, so half price books, right?
First edition Hunter, dude.
Yeah. If you go to places like Half Price now, they just have enormous vinyl sections. And if you look at the kind of how the store is laid out and the concentration of customers in the store, the vinyl section is always busy.
Yeah.
And it's really funny to watch people like delicately flip through the vinyl. Oh, so delicate. and then there's the other guy who's just fucking tearing through it. I gotta find it.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so funny. I love it. But yeah, I've noticed that over, I'd say the last 10 years or so, vinyl's back in a big way. And I mean, you can go to the friggin' like Fred Meyer, Walmart, whatever, and there's record players.
Yep.
You know, and I remember my grandparents had the big console, like 12 people to move it. You know, it's like the TV, the record player, the stereo.
Yeah.
Took up an entire wall in your living room.
Yep.
It's so awesome. And so when I see those now, I'm quite nostalgic. So,
dude, my dad used to have this old Marantz receiver setup. He ended up taking that thing to the dump.
What?
It was probably mid 90s. I mean, records at that point, no one was doing it. It was all CDs, you know, or cassettes in his car at the time, and took it to the dump, man. And now Marantz receivers are like the pride and joy of audiophiles everywhere.
It's funny that you mentioned Marantz because my dad has a Marantz reel-to-reel, and a Marantz turntable. And at some point I get it, but I'm like, I don't have anywhere to put it.
Yeah.
And my wife is like, you're going to get some more stuff, huh?
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'll probably hold off on this for now because as you can see, I accumulate things and it starts to pile. But yeah, I don't know. The vintage stuff for me always has kind of a soft spot. I'm a big fan of it. So that's awesome. So Phasers is definitely more of a melodic, straight ahead kind of punk.
Yeah.
Not too far removed from what MxPx does, but it's more raw, I would say, than say MxPx.
Yeah.
Definitely fast, kind of upbeat, kind of catchy. Was that the idea behind that? Was it you guys just wanted to do something kind of aggressive and go with that?
So the story of our band is kind of funny because like it was me and my brother and our drummer at the time. We had got together at a practice space and just kind of wanted to jam. And one of the first things we started doing was playing some Screeching Weasel songs. Like we just hadn't played together in forever, and it was like, oh, let's just play some songs. And so we played some Screeching Weasel songs. And then we started writing original material, and things progress, right? Like as with any band. And when it came time to name the band, we just thought back to how it all started, and we were just like, let's just name it Phasers on Kill, which was a Screeching Weasel song that we had played together.
Right.
I think maybe. But it was just so fitting. And then we just kind of kept going down that route. The name was a bit of a misnomer, I guess, because like we don't sound too much like Screeching Weasel. I mean, we stick to kind of the same melodic templates, I guess, but definitely have some faster songs. Definitely have a little bit more like instrumentation as far as like bridges, and we had 2 guitars, so definitely exercise that a bit more. So we weren't a Screeching Weasel band in essence, but that's kind of just what got us all together.
The other cool thing that I like about Phasers is that you guys switch off vocal duties.
Yeah.
And so for me, I always thought that was super cool. And it kind of reminds me of like, I'm a big Ramones fan. And, anytime like Dee Dee got to hop on the mic and play songs like Warthog that just were completely just off the fucking chains. So the first time I saw you guys play and then I saw the vocal switch off. So I was like, this is awesome because, oddly enough, nobody really does it anymore. It's kind of one of those, like, there's tons of backing vocals and something like that. But I love the fact that you can have two people that have completely different vocal qualities. Mind you, you guys sound nothing alike.
No.
So, but it fits, which is awesome. And so do you guys write songs intentionally with that being the case? Or are you writing a song and then he's writing a song, or?
That was normally it. Like, we would come to practice and I would have a song that I'm like, all right, I got 75% of the way there. Here's what it is. And then everyone else would kind of come together and we'd flesh it out. And likewise with my brother, he'd have a song, he'd bring it in and we just kind of go from there. We never had any like template as far as how many songs he should sing or I should sing or anything like that. We just let each other's songwriting happen organically, the way, at whatever speed it was that you wanted to write songs or bring songs to the band, and just work with that. So
and I guess while we're talking about that, why don't we go ahead and just give a quick shout out to the rest of the guys in Phasers, because they're not here.
Oh,
and
yeah, absolutely.
So and they are.
So we got Stump, who's our drummer. Garrett, he's a good guy.
I mean, Stump's not his real name.
Stump is his nickname, unfortunately. I mean, it should be his real name. Everyone thinks it is. We got Dan Rankin, Dano. So he's holding down Airport Tavern in Tacoma. Awesome place. Lots of live music there. Go check it out.
I know it well.
And then my brother, Mikey Waco. You'll see him around with Psycho 78. He's been playing with them for forever. Local Tacoma hero. So
nice.
Those are the guys.
Awesome. And so do you guys have pretty good chemistry then? Do you ever get together in a room and say, we're going to write a song together? Or is it usually just started in multiple different pieces and then brought to the table, if you will?
I normally like to when I'm writing songs, I normally like to get them 75 to 90% of the way done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have sections figured out, choruses, verses, bridges, and all that. As a band, we'll normally figure out like intros and outros. We'll figure out transitions. We'll figure out just like little parts, like a stop or a double time here, this and that, and kind of put the flair into it.
Mm-hmm.
But me personally, I get a little stressed if trying to like rein in the creative process with 4 people. That's just my preference, is get something like pretty far along and then have the rest of the guys like kind of help me get it across the finish line. I think other people can go about it differently, and honestly, I envy them. Like, to see a song completely created from nothing with all members of a band, I would love to watch happen, because I have a tough time with that.
Well, Brad, you've seen a lot of songs put together in the studio.
I would say majority of the time it's people coming in 90%, and it's usually the one songwriter of the band. I mean, I can't even think of anyone who collectively writes songs together.
Yeah.
That's how I write songs. I'll have most of it done, just because it's so hard to take other input, and sometimes you won't agree.
Right.
So, and then there cause tension. I feel like that's more of a waste of time, instead of actually just sitting down and writing something and saying, hey, let's work out some different things within this song, but having the full melody there is
Sure.
just the easiest way, I think.
Yeah.
So I know that you mentioned that Phasers is kind of not really on hiatus, but has been just not as active as it has been previously. What do you think that band is known for?
Known for? Gosh, I don't know. That's a good question.
You don't even think about that stuff.
No, known for, like, I mean, we would always get really good responses at live shows. I think
Mm-hmm.
we were a good live band, and well, oh gosh, I hate doing that. Oh, we were a good live. I don't like bragging or anything like that. I think our music came across best live. Let's put it that way. And we often did struggle with that recording, because like harnessing energy and stuff, and like getting audio to kind of come through the way like that you physically perform is always a challenge. So I'd say that we were probably known for pretty live and fun shows. And then like the harmonies, everybody's always talked to us about the harmonies. Like you mentioned, my brother and I's, our voices are very different.
Mm-hmm.
But because of like the familial side, and I guess there's some science behind this, but like when harmonizing with your brother or with your sister or somebody that you're kind of genetically related to, there's something that happens with that. And so I think people pick up on that a lot when we sing, because I love harmonizing. So does he. We like to work on that stuff together.
And I think that adds to the performance, because most bands don't have harmonies live.
It's
think
true.
about it. And I mean, my brother's here, and he and I love to do harmonies.
Yeah.
I think that's like one of our favorite things to do. And it really adds that much more to a performance.
Yep.
And so I think being any kind of music creation, having harmonies in a song is like the most important thing, because it just adds that extra magic to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of live bands, it's just the singer,
Yeah. And I actually caught at the Hi-Fi, you guys did an acoustic set.
Yeah.
Which was fucking badass, because
Right.
there was some people that were playing there that they were playing there. And then like the Fibs came on, and I'm a huge hard on for the Fibs. Not only are they friends, I just fucking love them. So, and then you guys, I remember going, Phasers is going to play acoustic. I have no idea what to even expect out of this. And
you were in the same boat I was.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was an experimental show or if that's something that you guys did, but it came off really well. And the first thing I noticed is about 3 songs in, you guys were having fun. I mean, it was loose. Everybody was smiling. You guys were joking around. There was no like pretense, and you weren't all uptight, and it just seemed like it flowed really well.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if that was planned or that just was like, fuck, let's just do this and have fun with it.
Like, there were some things about that show that made it interesting. So I remember when we first agreed to do it, and I don't even know how that happened, actually. The Fibs must have asked us, and they were like, we're going to do a full band acoustic. Do you guys want to do it? And I think I was like, yeah, that sounds challenging. We've never done that. Like, let's give it a whirl. And the next practice, it was like, hey, everybody, like, let's rethink our songs a little bit. So, you put on acoustics, and, Stump's playing with what are
the little like rod? It looks
Yeah.
like chopsticks tied together.
Yeah, exactly.
Thunder
Like,
rods? I don't remember.
Yeah, there
I
you
should
go.
know this.
Yeah, like
but-
super stripped down kit, and like totally different style of playing. And my brother and I are going to like full chords, and like some stuff we started playing like reggae. We're like, wait, what are we doing? Like, so it definitely unleashed a different side of us, and that was cool. It was cool prepping for a show like that. Like, we were a totally different band,
Was it all power chords still for acoustic?
Some of them.
Okay, because I was gonna say power chords on acoustic guitar. Ugh.
Yeah,
It's really hard to make power chords sound good.
It depends.
Yeah.
If you do like a lot of muting, sometimes it doesn't come off so well. But
That's
if you do a
cool,
lot
but-
of like let them ring, like full on kind of
But just like playing acoustic guitar fast,
Yeah.
that cramps my hand up.
yeah, that's crazy.
So reworking the songs and prepping for that show, I think it humbled us a little bit. That's probably like the humor that you saw on stage, the fun, because we were like, man, let's just rip it, let's just see what happens.
I think that's the thing that people miss in a lot of performances is you go there. Like for me, when I go see a band, it's not just like, if I just want to hear the music, I can just put the music on, right? I can just listen to the CD or listen to they still make CDs, right? Or I can listen to the digital realm content, or whatever it is. But if I'm going to pay money and go see a band, I want to see the band. I want to see them perform. I want to see them have fun. I want to see them interact with each other. And a lot of shows that you go to, and it doesn't matter if it's just like your local hometown show or big arena shows. Some of these guys have like no presence, right? And it's kind of a bummer when you go see somebody and you're like, do you even want to be here?
Sure.
And so that stood out to me at that particular show, is because you guys were clearly either having an inside joke that nobody else knew about, which could have very well been the case, or it was just a super fun time, and the crowd was it was an easy crowd that day. I remember I look around at the crowds when I'm at shows and see how people react, and because I used to play shows a lot, and I'm very cognizant of what people are making faces at you, or turning around and walking out as soon as you start singing, like that didn't go according to plan.
I do remember that show being a really good time.
Yeah,
that was a fun one.
So, so you guys now have done 2 kind of projects at the old Monkey Trench, which seems to be a recurring theme here on my show.
That place will always be, a part of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, is that kind of where we start leading into you becoming familiar with the MxPx guys? Was that from those experiences, or had you met them in the past with other projects? Or
That was the start of it.
Yeah.
It was when we were recording the Right Home EP with Brad.
First time, yeah.
First time with Brad. Mike was popping in on some of those sessions when we were doing Vokes and stuff. And it was about a year or so after that record came out. We actually, Phasers played with Tumbledown at the Manette.
I did front of house for that show, actually.
Yeah. You got some good video of that one, actually.
Yeah, that was a good show.
It
was a good night.
You have a couple songs on YouTube, I think, from that.
I do, because you dedicated that song, my favorite
Every
song.
Minute to
Every
you,
Minute.
yeah.
That's my favorite Phaser song.
Oh.
So I had a tear in my eye when he said that.
Did you fanboy out on that?
Yeah, I did. I totally did.
Shut up.
I filmed it and I watched it over and over again just to hear Chris say, "The song's for Brad."
Oh man, that's a bromance right there.
That's creepy.
So I honestly, I think we developed the bromance just doing records.
Yeah,
because I don't think we ever hung out outside of recording, and I think still to this day we don't really hang out until we're doing something.
We really don't.
Yeah,
we really don't.
Well, yeah, because you're in 75 bands and you record 75 bands a week. So,
yeah, so it works out. But yeah, like for real, like I think doing Phasers records, those were like the best times or the best studio sessions that I've ever had.
So Mike would kind of crash some sessions and basically say, hey, this is cool stuff.
I remember him coming into a couple sessions, but there weren't really any comments given. It was just kind of like, hey, what's up, man?
He's just checking it out. I always had to kick him out because the room just always went silent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everyone's intimidated.
Dano always used to tell me, dude, like, I think one time he was tracking bass and Mike came in and Dano was just like, he was farting all of his licks. I'm like, Dano. He's like, oh, my Mike's here, man.
He's just looking at my fingers. So I went to Mike and I was like, dude, you got to go, man. Like, I'm trying to make this productive right now. Mike's amazing at bass. We all know that.
Sure.
And he's so like to have, I think Dano's inspired by Mike at some point to like punk rock bass. So imagine thinking, your biggest inspiration or one of your biggest inspirations watching you play bass. Like that's difficult.
Right.
So
yeah, and I've been at the Trench several times, and as I've talked with Brad before, you can be there on any given day, and random people just kind of show up in here and there. And you're talking about Jesse Lawson showing up, and just kind of and these guys all just hang out, and whoever's recording, it's like we always forget. Oh, by the way, this is Mike's place,
right?
I think that's the coolest part about that studio is that if you go to any other studio, it's this professional vibe where you have like a receptionist and you have the interns that do all this stuff. Like the Monkey Trench was home,
right?
Yeah, you went upstairs to track, and
literally
a house too. But I think that's why that place is always going to be so special to me because I have never found another recording environment where it felt like you were just at someone's house hanging out.
Sure.
And that was like the best part. And that's why people kept coming back.
Yeah.
Because Mike would be downstairs doing a podcast or bands are just watching Netflix and you're upstairs tracking. And then when you're frustrated, you go downstairs and just watch, TV.
It's just a hang.
Yeah. It's a hangout.
And that's the thing. Like sometimes the studio can get stressful as musicians, you're trying to stay on time and you're trying to nail this, nail that. And like, it can become work if, sometimes. And, just having that release kind of like, go hang out downstairs, watch some TV.
There's also a dive bar like 20 seconds away. So
It's
like,
okay,
I'm going to the bar.
Let's go across the park.
Well, hold on a second. There is a dive bar downstairs at the Monkey Trench because I've seen those bottles piled up.
Oh yeah. We've been through some bottles.
Definitely a lot of drinking.
When did it come to the point where it started to be where you became associated with MxPx? How did that whole scenario come to play?
Man, I mean, it took a while because like I remember Mike was working on some acoustic stuff and he reached out to me about that. I think in fact it may have been after one of Phaser's shows at the Manette. I clearly remember talking to him out front as we were like loading out one night. It may have been that Tumbledown show actually. And so there was a few times I'd come out and we'd play acoustic and he was working on some new material and Stump came out one time and jammed with us and he had some other guys out. So I feel like he may have kind of been feeling around to start a different type of project. And I was just going along with it. And And then I didn't hear from him for a while. And he shot me a text out of the blue, and he's like, hey, you want to come out and jam tomorrow? I said, oh yeah, like, you want to go back to the acoustic song, you know? And his next text was this 23 song MxPx set list. And I was like,
by the way, learn these today.
I was like, oh, okay. And he says, oh yeah, let's go over these, like no pressure, you know? And at the time, the first thing that went off in my head was I knew that Tom was working over in Japan for the shipyard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, oh, this makes total sense. Like, Mike and Yuri need to prep for a show. He wants me to just come out and play guitar so they can just get their work in, you know? So that was literally my understanding of the situation the whole time, which in hindsight was probably a good thing, that I had no idea what the hell was going on. And so that night I remember going home, and I told my wife, I'm like, I got to lock myself in the den. I need to practice some songs. And it wasn't that hard because I've been listening to them for years.
Sure.
That Life in General was the first CD I ever owned. So they
like ever
in
the history of ever,
in the history of CDs in my collection, that was the first one I ever owned.
That's crazy.
And so I understood the weight of what was happening, but I still didn't think that anything really was happening. So I practiced a bunch that night, went out the next day, jammed with him and Yuri, and it was awesome. It was so fun. Like, we got pretty much through the entire set list, and you know, there were some parts in there where they would do like their live transitions, and they would play things like they do live, like breakdowns and stuff. And I'd just been practicing to CDs. And so, you know, we get to those spots and I'd be like, oh, what's going on? And just kind of like, just feel it, you know, just kind of vibe with them and try to figure out what was happening, you know, jumping on the mic, singing harmonies, because I just love doing that. So it was a super cool session. Just, you know, shook hands and left after that. And Mike ended up texting me later that night. He's like, I think it was like 8:45 p.m. And this, I'm very specific about this because his text was, I'm going to call you in 15 minutes. And I was like, okay, like, why is he going to, first of all, what else do we need to talk about? Because I think he'd also said like, hey, awesome jam tonight. That was super fun. Then it was, I'm going to call you in 15 minutes. I'm like, okay. And I told my wife, and she's like, something's going on. And that's when I was like, oh shit, something's going on. You know, like, and then he called and asked, you know, if I wanted to hop aboard and start playing with him. And you know, of course I think my answer was probably something completely stupid. Like, I think my mind was just so far past my mouth, and I was just like, blah, 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 yeah, you know, something just ridiculous. But you know, that's how it all went down. It was just I knew nothing of it until it was asked of me, and then it was like, yeah, let's go. Yeah.
And I remember talking to Mike about, because he was mentioning like a few people to play guitar for MxPx, and Chris was my number one recommendation, because for one, anytime Chris did guitar leads in the studio, he wouldn't mess up. He would just do it. And it was like, I think any of the solos that we did on the Phasers records, it was like one or two takes, and we were choosing which one sounded the best. And he can sing. So right away I thought, well, he could definitely do harmonies. And so I remember I think we were in the practice space of the Monkey Trench, and he told me, and Mike was just like, I think we're gonna have Chris playing MxPx. And I was like, that's
so at that point, was that you were kind of brought on as like a touring guy, or was this you were officially, hey, you're in the band?
Just touring.
Okay.
Just touring. And I mean, I don't know if everyone knows this, but they had a second guitarist on playing live with them since probably like the early 2000s. I mean, it had been a while. Like, right. Neil was doing it. They had Seth doing it. They had Jack doing it. So that part of it wasn't anything new. And yeah, so at that time it was just for shows, because that was all that was coming up, and so that was all we were prepping for.
Sure.
Was shows.
And then now the new album just came out recently.
Yes.
And were you involved in that at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like hardcore. So that's where, like, you know, just doing shows, it kind of morphed into these new songs, because as we were doing the shows and like practicing for them, Mike would slowly start introducing new songs. He's like, hey, I'm working on this new song. And he would send us a demo before practice, and, you know, we would prep for our upcoming Philly show, but then we would also rip through that new song and just like see how it was going. And it was like that every practice. There was a new song, a new song, a new song. And before we knew it, it was like, okay, yeah, we're doing a record. Like,
Nice.
And we were talking about how we were going to go about doing it. And we really wanted like a good live vibe. We wanted to sound energetic, sound live, kind of capture that. And
Kind of that old school feel.
yeah, which I think we nailed. Like, I think it's got that.
So that Let's Ride video is pretty fucking epic.
Yeah.
And the sound of that was very OG MxPx sounding, was the first thing I thought of.
Yeah.
I mean, it still has that certain level of polish that I think they're known for, but definitely a lot more energetic. I mean, that video is pumped full of energy in there, and it's a great song. The video is awesome. And of course, you're fully jumping around and having some fun. And so was that a blast to do?
Oh, that day was incredible. So that day, Brian Bichelt did that video with us. That was a Saturday. That was the first video we did that day of 4. We did
You did 4 videos?
We did Let's Ride, then we did Uptown Streets, then we went back to the studio and did Moments Like This, and then we also did The Way We Do.
And have those been released yet?
They all came out on earlier this week. Was it Tuesday?
I was going to say, why have I not seen those?
No, it was a huge, like, all of the rest of the videos for every song on the record came out. I think it was Tuesday. So they're all on YouTube now.
Jesus. Okay. Got to catch up.
Got to do it. Yeah.
So you got a lot of watching to do.
And some of those turned out, I mean, they're all great. Like, I love Uptown Streets. I love The Way We Do is rad. Moments is really cool. Moments Like This. It's got a lot of that nostalgia and stuff going on with it too. Like, everything we did that day was just awesome. So,
yeah. No, that video looks like a pile of fun.
Where did you guys film that one at?
Which one?
The Let's Ride one.
Let's Ride was at Kitsap County Fairgrounds.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, we like I guess the guys got permission for us to go in there, so we just come mobbing in, and like there's that tent was kind of in like the back corner of the fairgrounds, and just like loaded out gear.
So isn't there a line from like The Best of Times where Mike talks about sneaking into the county fair?
I don't know.
I want to say, because it's in my head right now, and I'm pretty sure.
And we legit did that for
You
this
legit.
video. he was like forecasting his future, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that.
So that's funny. Yeah. Didn't you record that album? You should know all those songs by heart.
Which one?
Those plans.
Oh, dude, that was so long ago.
Oh, Brad.
So, but yeah, that's pretty crazy. So, from Phasers to MxPx, and then now, the Royal Pain.
Yeah.
So, 3 completely different kinds of projects, and so the Royal Pain being really acoustic driven, it seems, can't really compare it to anything because it has its own flavor, its own vibe. At one point, it's got a pop sound to it. And then at another point, it's got a really melodic sound to it. And then at another point, it's got almost this Counting Crows meets Bare Naked Ladies kind of vibe to it, which I love.
Do you like that description?
That's awesome. I love that it's just confusing people.
Oh, no.
Just like I don't want it to fit in a box.
It doesn't. And so, that's one thing that people always want to do is they want to try to categorize. They want to try to fit it into a mold and say, you're this kind of musician or you're this kind of musician.
Right.
And so to me, that project stands really far apart because I can't really, I have to force myself to try to come up with a comparison, which I mean that as a compliment. That's pretty fucking badass. So
thank you. Yeah.
How did you come up with that concept?
Once Phasers once we knew that everyone was getting busy and things, we just needed to pump the brakes on some stuff that didn't really like stop my creative process. Like I would say per year, I probably write an album's worth of songs in some form or fashion. And so having an outlet for that, like I needed to keep that going.
It takes me 10 years to write an album's worth of songs. It's one song a year, man. It's got to be right though.
When you're 80, you're going to have a full one.
Exactly.
There you go.
And I'll be like, it'll be polka, It'll be old people shit.
Dude, you'll feel like the most awesome 80-year-old guy.
I know, right?
I'll be like, fuck you, Lawrence Welk. This is what I can play. So, yeah, but anyways, so
like I needed to keep writing songs, and every Phaser song originated on an acoustic guitar. To be honest, like I would write at home on an acoustic.
Sure.
And so that process never changed. I'd always start with my acoustic. And I think at the time, I was starting to network with a lot of people in the music scene, especially down the West Coast, and just through people that I met. And I was seeing some really cool songs and material come out from just solo acoustic performances. And I guess I just never thought about the power of that outlet, and I'd always kind of like hidden in a band. And it's cool being loud and distorted and noisy and crazy, and I love that. But then when you also kind of tap into a little bit of a different side and go the acoustic route, it's just as satisfying. And I started discovering that, and I'm like, I want to go for this. So that's where the Royal Pain came from. And I had 4 songs, worked on recording those with Brad. And
you didn't even have Royal Pain as the name yet.
I didn't.
Yeah, you just told me. He texted me, or I don't remember if it was
I just
text or
had the
call, but
songs.
he's just like, I have 4 acoustic songs. Let's do something with
Yeah,
it.
because you were saying there was a cool story about kind of the making of that album that you guys worked on.
I think it's a cool story.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else will think. But basically, we tracked that entire EP in 8 hours.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
one session, like one big
one continuous session. And I actually had to go to like the Japanese embassy in Seattle that morning for a tour. I don't remember if
It was
you were
for
in
our visas.
Yeah, for the visas.
Oh,
And
for MxPx.
Yeah, for MxPx.
Yeah.
And so I woke up hella early that morning. I took care of that. Chris, you didn't go to work that day, right? Like,
No.
did you work at home? Work at home in quotes?
Yeah, no, I think I was like telecommuting in
Yeah.
quotes from the studio.
Yeah. And so I was on the ferry early morning. So, because I was only in Seattle.
My
for like
boss
an
isn't going to
hour.
listen to this, so we're good.
Aren't you your boss?
Well, kind of in a way,
Yeah.
like not really.
I don't actually know what he does, by the way.
Yeah.
We'll keep it that
I've
way.
asked his coworkers, and
I'm off the grid.
Anyway, so I think I was only in.
I'm pretty good at
Seattle.
research, dude. I could find this out.
I was in Seattle for an hour, caught the ferry back, called Chris and said, hey, I'll be in the studio in an hour. We showed up. I was super exhausted, and I didn't know any of the songs. Like, we tracked scratch that day, and it was just, his acoustic guitar and vocal really poorly recorded.
Yep.
And then I hopped into the drum room, and I recorded myself because we have that wireless keyboard,
Yep.
and Chris doesn't know how to use Pro Tools.
Well, and one of the
A little
reasons,
bit, but
one of
not-
the reasons why we did that session was for that the
intern.
Seattle Art Institute.
Oh yeah, I
student.
forgot about that guy.
You
Parker.
basically needed material. He needed material for his project, and it was all kind of going. And I'm like, and you were like, "Do you have some stuff to record?" And I was like, "Yeah, they got about like 4 songs or whatever."
That's right.
And so that's the
Okay.
whole purpose for us, like
I
even
forgot
doing
that part. But yeah, that's true.
And then it turned into
And he graduated from that project. Like, the
Yes.
teacher loved the songs that we did on that thing. But yeah, we tracked drums, bass, guitar, and vocals all in one day. I think the funny thing is we tracked vocals last.
we did.
So you were there until like midnight, and we were like so done.
Yeah.
We were so burned out by the end, and he had to sing like one more song. And so yeah, it was all done in one day. And I thought, and you were kind of worried about it. You were like, I don't know if this is gonna turn out well. And when I mixed it down, I think we were really happy with it. At least I was. And you said you were listening
super
to it.
stoked about it. Actually, it was a really good experience, and it was like, playing the song. And at that point, I hadn't been performing at all, so taking the songs into the studio, and kind of fleshing it out with drums and bass. And I didn't know if I even wanted to do that, but we started doing it, and it sounded so cool that we were just like, screw it, let's keep that. And when I perform it, it'll look or sound different, but whatever. It was just cool working on that stuff with you, and like you really picked up the beats super fast and like the vibe, and that was a great session, man.
That
In
was a
just
fun
one
night.
day.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What did you think, Mike, of that E EP?
So what I've heard of it, the songs are, like I said, my description earlier is just, and every song sounds different from each other. You don't have like, this song sounds like that song. And I apologize, I don't know all the song names. But yeah, I just, I think it's great. I think the sound was really good. I love acoustic music. So
What did you think of the drums? That's the only thing I care
Oh
about.
gosh,
the drums.
He's so.
Well,
Oh my
I know Brad and I have had several discussions regarding drums and his drumming abilities and his drum miking abilities. And
I'm kidding. We don't need to talk about me.
I didn't know there was drums on that. Actually, I completely.
There you go. Good answer.
They were so
Good
quiet
answer.
in the mix.
No, you couldn't even tell they were there.
Yeah, it sounded like somebody drunk just falling on a bunch of stuff. And
There we go. That's what I wanted to hear.
That's kind of what I thought about it. So that's a currently active project, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So since we did the 4-song EP we called Odds and Ends,
Okay.
and put it out as The Royal Pain, and that's on iTunes and Spotify and Bandcamp. Anywhere you can download music, it's there. And that's when I started playing. I said, all right, I got these songs. They turned out great. I'm really confident in them. I really like how things are going. I'm going to get out there and do this. So I started performing solo, which was it's a bit different from the recordings, right? Because
like literally just you.
Just me, yeah. And so I take some liberties with how I play the songs, because when we were in the studio, it's just shiny toys everywhere. And so you're laying down guitar solos and you got the drums and you got the bass, and we did keys and all that. And we really wanted to flesh the audio out into this kind of wall of sound almost. So obviously the live show doesn't have that, but who cares?
It's a
Whatever.
small wall.
I think when we were talking about it, I told you like I wanted to kind of overdo it a little bit, because with phasers it's just like left right guitars and this is it,
Yeah.
With this one he did electric guitar solos, which do you do those live, like the solos on acoustic?
I don't. Well, like there's some parts where I kind of fudge it a little bit, but not like it is on the record.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do that without some more guys helping me.
So you're doing like a local shows? Are you getting to travel for that project at all, or
not yet?
Have you gone on any big Japanese arena tours?
Gosh, that's like probably never in the cards. But no, I'd like to do a little bit of traveling, but just locally for now. Like I just did a few shows a couple weekends ago with Yotam Ben Horan. He's lead singer and bassist for Useless ID. They're a Fat Records punk band, and Yotam has his own acoustic stuff. He's great, super great, like amazing instrumentalist and really good singer. So we did 3 shows. We played Tacoma, Seattle, and Portland together. I did a session down in Portland at Bridge City Sessions.
Yeah.
They have a really good YouTube channel. The Fibs have done
Fibs
that.
have done it. I've seen it. They've had
Phasers
some.
did that as well. So Nick Wilson down there and Chris Finster, that everybody down there is amazing. So when we went down to Portland, I popped in and did that. So I did 4 songs with them. They're not out yet, but hopefully soon. And yeah, just doing local shows. I got October 12th is going to be a big day. MxPx is releasing their Best Life IPA through Silver City. And there's going to be a huge party at the Roxy Theater in Bremerton, where Mike's going to play acoustic and I'm going to play acoustic opening up for him, playing.
So you're playing separately, but on the same bill.
Correct.
That's fucking crazy.
It is.
That's a dream come true, dude.
And like, so
for Mike.
Funny thing about
Yeah, for Mike.
Jeez.
Mike, do you know who's opening up for you today?
Yeah. No, it'll be a really good time, and like everybody's gonna be super stoked about the new beer. And I mean, the whole MxPx team's gonna be there. Like Tom and Yuri are gonna be there. They're gonna jump up with Mike and a bunch of storytelling and just hanging out, and I'll do my thing, and it'll just be a good time. It'll be rad.
It'll be awesome. So other than that, then what else do you got coming down the pike? What else are you working on?
So Brad and I are working on a new batch of Royal Pain songs.
Okay.
I think we're at 8 right now, but you're gonna write 2 more, right?
I know. We want the full length.
Full length.
And you're
Yeah.
going to do it all in 6 hours?
Probably not on this one.
Dude.
I don't think I could do that again. Like as cool as it was, like, man, I was burned out.
That was pretty gnarly. But I'll say this, regardless of like where we're at, if we're recording, it's like lightning in a bottle for us. Like I think that's the thing about Brad that like instantly happened with when he was working on the Right Home EP for Phasers, was like the ideas just flow, and we hardly even have to speak to each other really to understand what we're doing, and we just do it. And so like the creative speed is just like light speed. And so with the Royal Pain stuff, man, I wouldn't be surprised if we can get 2 songs done in a couple hours. Hell,
So this is going to be a full length though.
I think
We're
that's what we
aiming
want to
for
do.
it,
Yeah. I think we
But-
should do that.
Who knows? Maybe 4 or 5 songs don't make it and it becomes an EP. I think they're all good, but
Yeah.
after we hear it mixed down, we kind of have to like listen back and
Yeah.
I think they're all
pick
good
and
though.
choose. Yeah.
I don't like getting my hopes up on any record.
Especially not on your record.
Especially not on
don't you
Chris's.
dare. Don't you dare get excited about this.
So that's awesome. So that's pretty much what's going on with you then. Phasers, MxPx, the Royal Pain.
Yeah.
How many other bands are you going to join this year?
Well, there may be one more.
Yeah,
But
we're gonna do a gangsta hip hop record.
That'd be awesome.
I told you not to mention that.
Oh man, the word is out. And speaking of which, so Bradly Miranda's entire family, Brian, who's here with us today as well.
Hi,
and,
Brian.
What's up, Brian?
And Byron.
Byron's not here.
You guys have your own amazing family musical traditions that are super epic as well. So, in fact, Brian is going to be involved in the next performance that we're about to get going with you. So tell us about what we're going to hear from you today.
Yeah, so the first song we're gonna do is a song called "The Battle Today." It's a new one that Brad and I have recorded for this most recent batch. It's not out yet, but pretty excited about it, and it'll be cool to get a little cajon and some bass on it.
Cajon, dude.
Cajon.
I believe Brad refers to it as nut pounding.
Nut pounding.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like, dude. I'm a little intimidated to film.
What did you say when I watched? You're like, I can't wait to slap my nuts.
Slap my nuts.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, okay, here we go. Podcast time. You guys are already in that mode.
That's right. So we're gonna hear some, and this is gonna be Royal Pain material.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
It is, yeah.
So what's the other songs you're playing?
I don't know. What other one should I do?
What about okay, go ahead.
I had a couple ideas. One, there's also a song on the new batch called Father's Lungs.
That's a good one.
I was thinking about doing that one just by myself. But I also don't have a recording yet of my cover of Clean Sheets by the Descendants.
That's a cool one. You should do that one.
I think I
because
might.
you do the guitar solo.
I
Right?
do. Oh,
He
it's gonna
does the
sound
guitar-
so bad, dude.
He does the guitar solo on acoustic guitar, and I saw him do it live, and I was amazed at how well he can make an acoustic guitar sound like punk rock
Oh, stop,
guitar
dude. It's
solo.
not that.
I'm not
It's-
making this
Well,
up.
and
It sounds weird.
that plus Descendants is just fucking legendary. And didn't Egerton master?
He mastered both
Plans-
Phaser's efforts. He did Right Home and 16 Stairs.
So
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that
yeah.
will be your homage.
Yeah,
I
there
thought you were
go.
asking about MxPx. I was like, yeah, he mixed and mastered Plans Within Plans too,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
which then they did. Yeah,
Awesome.
Phasers. He was a cool dude.
So,
met him at the Descendants show in Seattle.
So Chris was freaking out more than I was.
Oh no, that was like
It's like I
Man.
can't believe I'm seeing your amps right now. I'm not gonna embarrass you. Sorry.
it was so cool, man.
That was a good night.
Stefan's awesome,
Yeah.
you had a super fanboy moment too, then, huh?
big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna hide from that one, dude. I mean, it's Stefan, dude. It's so cool.
Oh, that's killer. Well, speaking of super fucking awesome, let's get this going. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna come on back, and we're gonna check out Chris and his projects we got going on here, and we're gonna get Brian all set up here and have an awesome performance. So we'll be right back. All right, and we're back once more with Chris Adkins. Chris, you're gonna play us a couple of songs here. Why don't you get this going for us?
Cool, thanks, Mike. This is a Descendants cover. It's called Clean Sheets. Clean sheets mean a lot to a guy who sleeps on the floor. I wanted your love in a shelf on your dresser drawer. You tucked me in, stopped my tossing and turning. Then I turned back the covers and I saw those sheets are dirty. Even though you'll never come clean, you know it's true. Those sheets are dirty, and so are you. The warmth of a bed to a guy who sleeps on the floor was enough to perpetuate all the lies I heard before. Now I wanna hold you, gotta hold my pillow instead. 'Cause my pillow will never lie or be with a stranger in my bed. Even though you'll never come clean, you know it's true.
Those sheets are dirty, and so are you. Where's the love I was looking for? It's out the door. I'm afraid to sleep with you anymore. Throw it back on the floor. 'Cause those sheets are dirty. Woke up this morning alone on the floor, thinking about those clean sheets and the way it was before. Now I look in the mirror, I saw your face and thought of the past. Now I know how dirty you are. I took my fist and smashed the glass. Even though you'll never come clean, you know it's true. Those sheets are dirty, and so are you. Even though you'll never come clean, you know it's true. Those sheets are dirty, and so are you. Those sheets are dirty. Those sheets are dirty. Those sheets are dirty.
Awesome, man. What you got for us next?
We could just go right into Father's Lungs on this one. This is a new Royal Pain song. It'll be out on the kind of the next batch, which hopefully is a full album. It's called Father's Lungs. Scream and yell till the weak can't carry any word from your father's love. Walk away from the voices buried. Rediscover your own tongue. Thrown into a fight that we never started. Won't you save a bed for the broken hearted? After all is won, can the losers have their fun? After all is won, can the losers have their fun? Overwhelmed as the bridges carry, high above the tides you go. Far away from the darkest moment, light the road with your sun. Thrown into a fight that we never started. Won't you save a bed for the broken hearted? After all is won, can the losers have their fun? After all is won, can the losers have their fun? After all is won, can the losers have their fun? Oh. fight that we never started. Won't you save a bed for the broken-hearted? After all is won, can't the losers have their fun? After all is won, can't the losers have their fun? After all is won, can't the losers have their fun? Oh, scream and yell till the wind can't carry any word from your father's lung.
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay, so we have one more song, and this one we're being joined by the legendary Miranda brothers, Brian and some kid named Brad. So tell us what we're doing here, man.
Yeah, so this song is called "The Battle Today." It's going to be on the newest batch of Royal Pain songs, and Brad had an interesting idea for us to put a little bit of percussion to it and a little bit of bass to it. So thank you, Brian, for joining us, and Brad. It should be fun. Let's give it a whirl and see how it goes.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Some days I dread the conversation.
Oh, that was good. That was great, though. Let's try it again.
That was a good way to start the song. Yeah.
Are we just gonna cut the intro?
Yeah. Let's just start it again.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Some days I can't get past the future. Can't even last an episode. I'm too tired to smile. Some days I dread the conversation. The same actors and topics. You know it's been a while since a natural beginning, a humble pursuit, inquisitive and eager for the truth. Don't let it grow this interest. Don't let it go to waste. I gotta jumpstart this heart. That's a battle today. Some days I see the good in the universe. I see a little tide that turns this whole ship around. Some days I'm reminded of my mistakes, the stupid things I can't erase. You know it's been a while since a natural beginning, a humble pursuit, inquisitive and eager for the truth. Don't let it grow this interest. Don't let it go to waste. I gotta jumpstart this heart. That's a battle today. Here we go, boys. Some days mean more in the rear view than when they're with you. But how would you know?
Dude, first time we ever played that together.
That was cool.
Sick.
awesome.
Yeah.
Put
Woo.
'em up. Nice job. That was rad.
That literally is the first time we ever the first time they've ever played that song together, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome. Hey, Chris, this has been super epic, man. I'm really stoked you were able to make it out. And to Brad and to Brian, thanks for making this all happen. And open door, brother. Anytime you want to come in, you got something new you want to do, you give me a call, you come on down, we'll hang out, we'll record some stuff, drink some scotch, and it'll be awesome. So, yeah, anything else you want to say before we close this one out?
This is just great. Thank you for having me, Mike. Thanks, Brad and Brian, of course. It's been a super fun night. And yeah, the Royal Pain, MxPx, Faces on Kill. Check it out. We'll see you out there.
Find them on all the social media stuffs. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
I've been swung on and belted deep to right field. I'm over all fences. I'm rolling like wheels on the wagon. I'm just passing by. Well, I've witnessed the wretched who put them on hooks. I, like the others, am dirty from books. The peripheral glands. Just one more, I couldn't care less. Oh, we dance for our lives, even on the sidelines. Oh, whoa, victims of design. There's no rest for the weary, but ours it will come in good time. They're just passing by. So today we are gathered, mourning what was, and what's yet to come won't be better for us. Yeah, the stubborn, the bored, reluctant to break from their frames. Oh, we dance for our lives, even on the sidelines. Whoa, victims of design. There's no rest for the weary, but ours it will come in good time. There's no rest for the weary, but ours it will come in good time. There's no rest for the weary, but ours it will come in good time.